Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ali Dose of Inspiration. And today, Ali Tarnishi, as promised, every Monday, have guests from all over the world sharing story of hope, rebirth, and resiliency. And today, I have Jessica Manson. And Jessica, she walk the talk. And she is not only trained in sexual assault critical care and use it to treat patient as an ER nurse. She has experienced rape and later trauma in a troubled marriage. She knows whereof she speaks, intuitive and empathic. She is able to listen and address compassionately. So today we have a special guest that she didn't really stay there as a victim, but she turned that to be a victorious. She turned her tragedy to triumph and her struggle to success. Please help me, Jessica Manson, today.
Thank you so much, Ali. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much for being with us. So you are in which state, my friend Jessica?
So I now live in Idaho.
Okay, nice. Excellent. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know I just said a little brief about you. So tell us about your story of rebirth and hope and resilience. It's just so we can put the audience about who is Jessica is.
There's kind of a lot to it. I'm trying to figure out the best place to start. So I am currently a single mom to 5 kids who I have a history of domestic violence, and I was raped at the age of 18 by a coworker, and didn't have any history of abuse up till then, and wasn't really quite sure what to do and how to handle things, and I kind of struggled finding the right outlets of trying to find the ways of healing, and later got into a troubled marriage, lasted for about 11 years, and there was a lot of forms of abuse in that. Emotional was the main type of abuse, and in that marriage I had 5 kids who I now have full time with me up here.
5 kids?
And five. Yep, 5 of them.
Oh,
yep.
Crazy mama.
Yep.
Holy.
It is very, very, very busy in my house, but it's a lot of fun to have kids. And so while I was in my marriage, I was married to a cop, and I was always worried about him being taken in the line of duty or things like that. And so I always had a passion for helping people, and I decided to go into nursing. And so I have about 20 years of medical experience at this point, and I got my nursing degree and stuff. And I finished it after I'd gone out of the marriage, and became an ER nurse, which was my love and passion. And with me raising 5 kids on my own, I was working 60-hour weeks, and it was crazy and exhausting and daunting, and there was so much going on, but I loved what I did, and I figured I'd be tired because I was a single mom, and my health totally tanked last spring in April, right when COVID hit, and kind of threw me into a new chapter of trying to learn what the body really goes through when you go through traumatic experiences. And with me not really realizing I was being emotionally abused for the majority of my marriage, I didn't realize the toll it was taking. And so when my health tanked, I had to take a really good, hard, long look, and kind of assess what was really going on with my body and what had been going on for the last 20 years. Because, like the rape happened 18 years ago. And so I'd had this 18 years of progression happening to my tissues. And when you take on so much, it's just a matter of time before it tanks. And so I learned the hard way. And so I walked away from everything I knew with what kind of Western medicine. I think that there's so many great aspects to it, but I also find a lot of flaws in their approach. And I have found a lot of comfort and peace in more Eastern side, as well as dealing with like the mental side of things. And so I've now opened my own business helping out domestic violence victims get out of the toxicity, and then also helping them heal with different modalities other than traditional just talk therapies or just antidepressants and things like that. So that's where I'm at now. I now live in Idaho with my kids, and I'm starting this new chapter. So
Whoa. You have so much what's going on. Like it's like so for just to go back a little bit, just like you said about 18 years ago, that's when you were raped, or when you were 18 years.
So 18 years ago, I'm now 36. So it was 18 years ago when it happened.
Wow.
Also 18 years old.
But the effect of it was just like when it just happened, or you felt it just when a few years ago. You mean like the trauma and all that stuff, or the feeling that's associated with that?
So there's been emotions the whole time, but then I had done traditional therapies, and I'd been on antidepressants, and I had done what I was told I was supposed to do, and I had healed to a point. But then I still had a lot of triggers and a lot of flashbacks and a lot of, I couldn't go outside in the dark, and I really had a really hard time connecting to people, and, a lot of struggles in that aspect. And I just figured, well, that's just what it is. Because I am a victim, now survivor of domestic violence, then I'm going to have this aftermath. And I've now found that there are other ways to heal that and be able to take care of those as well, just in a very different form that's not typically offered to victims.
Wow. So what did you find, like, Jessica, that helped you, like, to manage and keep yourself, like, strong and keep yourself pushing, and, like, holy, like I said, you raised 5 kids and working 60 hour, and you start your own business and all that stuff. What's the formula? What is the like, I know, like, probably, like, some of the listener or some of the audience, they are going through the same or something, and they want to know how you manage to come out from it. Like, you refuse to drown. That's what they say. So
pretty much, like, I tend to be a really stubborn person, which is both a curse and a blessing depending on the scenario, right? And so when I got out of my marriage, it was incredibly difficult, just because there were years and years and years of emotional abuse, like I talked about, and trying to then stand up and find the backbone. It came down to a situation where I literally had to draw a line in the sand. And since I wasn't aware that I was in an abusive marriage, like, I knew that I was a victim of domestic violence from the rape, but I didn't realize that I was in a domestic violence marriage. And so when it came to that point, it was a kind of line in the sand, and there was no going back. They say, choose your hard. Marriage is hard, divorce is hard, exercising is hard, being overweight is hard. Just choose your hard. And so it came down to it turned into a very scary and threatening situation, and not something that I wanted to live with, or wanted my kids to grow up as be their norm. Like they say that like when I was first raped, it was 1 in 6 women were somehow affected with domestic violence. And with COVID and stuff, it's now saying that it's now 1 in 2. And so it's a super, super prominent thing. And it happens with both male and female. Female are more prominent, but it also happens in, both genders. And it doesn't matter what society. It happens in middle class and high class and in poverty. I mean, everywhere. Ethnicities across the globe. It's everywhere. And so when it came down to kind of standing up and finding my backbone, it was incredibly challenging, but I just refused to go back to that. I refused to have that be my reality. And I think that an immense amount of grit and a fantastic tribe. I've got a great family, and I had great coworkers and neighbors and babysitters and things like I found my tribe who helped me find that strength when I literally was at rock bottom. So doing that helped me now grow it. Like I don't work 60-hour weeks anymore, but yeah.
So for that 60-hour, Jessica, those 60 hours, just almost like kind of just like trying to hide from that keep yourself busy, or is it like the family responsibility make you to work that 60-hour, or is it like kind of like just I'm just running away from those emotion and try to kind of to face my reality, or is it?
I think it's honestly a mixture of both. So one of the trauma responses that I've learned about is staying really, really busy, because then you don't have to face your crap, right? You're just like, oh, I'm good. I have to go to work. And if you don't address them, then it just continues to compound and compress and just do more damage on your tissues. So when I was working 60 hours, I wasn't trying to self-sabotage myself. I wasn't trying to completely make my health tank. I am raising 5 kids, and like the financial support from their dad is not always consistent. And so it's just like, well, I have 5 kids to raise, and this is my responsibility. And so I can, this is what I need to do. And so it was kind of a mixture of both. But in doing so, it was also a kind of subconscious thing of, I will deal with my crap when I have time. Right now, I'm just exhausted. I was, like living on very little sleep in nursing school, because the divorce happened, and then it like I said, it was violent, and there was protective orders and things like that. And so there was a lot of drama and a lot of emotion to it, and a lot of threats and a lot of concern and scare. And so the divorce happened, and I was still in nursing school. So like when I divorced, when I filed for divorce, I was working full time. I was in full time nursing school. I was then becoming a single mom to 5 kids, and at the time they were 9, 6, barely 3, almost 2, and almost 1, like super small.
Wow.
And so then I'm suddenly saying, okay, well, I can't deal with anything emotional right now. I have too many responsibilities as a mom, because I love my kids and they're my world. I want to make sure that they're okay first, and then I'll still go to work and things. And so then kind of putting myself on the back burner became a really, really common second nature thing. And so then taking myself back when my health tanked, it was something like, you can't put yourself on the back burner anymore. You're now the number one, because if you don't take care of yourself and put your own oxygen mask on, you can't help anybody else. And I had to learn that the really hard way.
100%, 100%. And our body doesn't lie. Like if we don't take 1 days for ourselves, our body will take one or two, and our body will be picky. Maybe take three.
Yeah, it doesn't care, like, what you have planned with school or work. Or it doesn't care.
I need a break. Wow, like your story is really powerful, Jessica, because
Thank you.
a normal person go through that, it can break them like totally.
Mhm.
And I can tell like your mindset and your personality like probably play a big part into that. Like you strive and you look for the outcome. I am focusing on my nursing, I'm focusing on my study so I can help myself. And they think that's what you're doing. You refuse to stick to the medication and stuff like that, and you try to the Eastern approach. Is that what I'm hearing at the
Yeah.
beginning from?
Well, I mean, I had been on antidepressants for years.
Mhm.
I had gone onto them not necessarily because I was feeling depressed, but because I was feeling just really overwhelmed and kind of just cranky and just having a hard time dealing with life. And so the doctor said, "Well, try this." And so I hopped on them, and I mean, it helped to a point, but then it also brought on other side effects that I wasn't comfortable with. I felt very checked out from life. I felt very numb. I felt kind of I just didn't care, and I hated not caring. I hated
Mhm.
not feeling like I was being truly involved and present with my kids, or caring about really big important factors of life. I had already been checked out with emotional abuse. One of the biggest things that happens is you subconsciously numb out from the important things in life because your brain can't discern between the good and the bad, and so it just blocks. And so then
Mhm.
you were already checked out. And so then I was already dealing with that, and I hated feeling that, and I was fighting back, trying to find a way to feel again. And the antidepressants, it made it that much worse in my own experience. And so I hated feeling like I was, dependent on medications, and I didn't want that for me or myself or anybody that I loved and cared about. And so that's what kind of started the journey, is to, okay, what if my brain is what is struggling, then I wonder if there's something with my brain that I can do to help, so I don't have to be dependent on outside sources. How much power do I really have within myself? And that journey started years ago. And so over time, it's just now gone to the point where, and I'm now discovering new things, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the brain's absolutely amazing. So
The brain is powerful, definitely, because it can work for your favor or it can work against your favor. It's just like it's the way you use it.
right.
And also, you were trained in sexual assault critical care, and you use that to treat patient as an ER nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
one of your
So
is that one of your like passion, that or just what you went through in life make you said, okay, I want to follow this and help people, and just a curious question that for me that
you're totally fine. Any questions on the table? Like I'm an open book at this point. I used to hide my story and was very hesitant to share it, and now I'm just like, what, you got a question? Ask whatever you want. So ER nursing had kind of been something I'd always wanted to be. When I first got into nursing school, that was my drive. That was what I wanted to do. I eventually wanted to become like a life flight nurse, and I loved the chaos. I loved the crazy, and the you never knowing what was walking in the door, and like I love the adventure. I'm not a big fan of monotony. I just dull and boring and same old, same old. That's not how I roll. And so the ER totally lit me up in that way. But then also with the chaos of the ER and the chaos of my own stuff, it was kind of this compounding effect as well that took it. So the domestic violence aspect of things with the sexual assault training is actually really, really common for people who have a history of that to then turn around and try to help the community into, they become the like the advocates and become, like the healthcare workers who want to get involved with that. It's actually really, really common. And so it's really, really hard for us
Mhm.
because like when I'd go through my training, I would be triggering like crazy. And I would, I mean, there was so much work. And one time we were told in one of our trainings, she says, if this doesn't drive you crazy and make you realize how wrong the world is, then we've not done our job. We need you to realize how awful it is. And this is one of the hardest things you're going to have to do. But we need people who actually care and who are passionate about fighting back, because this is such a prominent thing in our society and in the world. And so we would go
Wow.
there to kind of in this space of, okay, we've got this. And so with my business, it's also, it can be really, really triggering. And so I do a ton of mindset stuff on the backside, because stepping into this, it's very, very personal and very
Mhm.
passionate. At the same time, it's a very touchy, touchy
Wow.
balance.
Wow, you are really strong, because I think to do that, and you see all those experiences and you see all those cases as as an ER nurse, probably you see so many cases that probably if you are not strong person, that probably would break your heart. And
There were yeah, definite times when I would just go home and sob. Absolutely. It was
wow,
wild.
so you have to make like almost like a shell between you and that, so we don't let that really absorb or just hurt you more, so you can see it. It just see, so you can help the patient more instead of just like letting that drain you or break you down.
Yeah, it's an intentional thing you have to do about, like I am willing to give this much energy to it, but also need to protect my own sacred space. And so I'm showing up in this role, but then also making sure that you're okay. And so it's really important to, talk about things and be able to acknowledge that you're not okay when you're really not okay, instead of just, kind of just, oh, I'm fine, I'll deal with this. Because if you don't, then it literally affects you, even though you weren't,
Hmm.
necessarily involved. You were then involved because you become part of that patient's history and life and situation.
Hmm. Amazing. Because a lot of people really like this show from the outside, that they are
Mm.
totally fit from outside, totally strong, totally physically fit, but inside, emotionally, they are broken. Emotionally, they are shattered. Emotionally, they are unstable. And that is what people really need to focus on. That's why we're sharing those story and sharing all that. So people be okay to ask for help. People be
Yeah.
okay to seek help from friend or share their story, because if you let it in, it's only eating you. It's not eating anybody else. If you are hiding it, it's only hiding it for yourself, but it's breaking you more than helping you. So we bring people that they went through it, they walked the talk, and they managed to come out from that spot, and they are using their courage, their braveness, their strategy, or how they managed to get out.
Mm.
And they see here through, my friend, that you love helping others, moving intentionally through them with purpose, learning as you go. Jessica is passionate about sharing with other what she has learned through training and experience, seeking non-medicated treatment for herself and patient. Jess is certified in a somatic psychotherapeutic approach.
Yeah. So that's what I found when my health suddenly tanked and I couldn't work 60-hour weeks anymore. I was literally forced to go from working nonstop and living on energy drinks and Adderall and very little sleep to suddenly just, like my family had to take my kids for a few weeks before I could even feel like I could help take care of them myself again, and then still had tons of outside support helping me. And so those few weeks, I took a ton of time to just sleep and just try to find answers and trying to just seek what was going on with my body, and was trying to run these tests and labs and scans and things. And when I was just recovering, I came across this program that is called Somatic Psychotherapy, and it's with the doctor named Dr. Wong. And he talks about how your emotions literally affect your tissue down to the cellular level. And until you address those, there's going to continue to reside. And so it'll create, continue to create havoc. And so that's kind of what my business is based on, is the somatic approach to, because when, with like a traumatic experience, a trauma can occur to anybody. Two people can be in the exact same situation, and one
Mhm.
person can walk away being triggered, and one person can walk away totally fine. And so it's not necessarily the situation, it's the experience a person takes. And so a traumatic experience is something that simply is too fast to, oh my gosh, I totally just had like a total whatever, too fast to, nope, I'm going to totally butcher that. And I would talk about it all day long, whatever. But something that happens just too fast for someone ever is just what creates a traumatic experience when they're not prepared for it. And so then you then have to, it get our bodies are built to enjoy adrenaline and exciting things. And
Mhm.
so what happens when we're in a situation that we no longer are excited about, and it then turns traumatic and scary for us, our body does not complete the cycle back to the relaxation phase. And so then that's where the trigger happens, because our body is just waiting and waiting to continue that cycle. And so
Mhm.
then years later, you can be triggered over something and you're not even in a scary situation, but there's some component of that space that then triggers back to what you were experienced when you were traumatized, and that's where the triggers happen. And so with this approach, we go back in and we say, what is really going on with your body? What is your body telling you? And so when I talk about the rape, I have a lot of chest pain.
Mhm.
I feel really numb. My head feels really foggy. I have tingling down my arms. And so we just talk about, like, and we work and break through about what your body really trying to tell you, because it can't verbally express, oh, well, this is what it means. But that trauma is trapped in your tissues, and we have to find a way to let that escape and get out and process and to just address it. So that's kind of what the somatic approach does. It focuses on the feeling, because you can know and you can think something, but then actually feeling it, like feeling you are safe, is very different than saying, like, I know I'm safe. I'm no longer around my abuser. I'm no longer, in, this situation or in this house or whatever. But then to actually feel safe is an entirely new level. And that's what I focus on.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, Jessica, is this approach is mostly focused on the feeling, and let that feeling, like, you really analyze that feeling and see what the message is trying to give you, or try to understand what's that feeling. Is that what I'm hearing? Just like to explain more the somatic approach, if you can deeper, people will understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus more on what your body is trying to express with what is really feeling, because again, it can't say like, oh, well, I still have an issue with X, Y, and Z. It's like as you kind of just ask your body. And so being in, like, if you are still in the abuse, you can't heal. If you're still being triggered on a daily regular basis, you can't heal. You can't try to say, oh, well, I'm still right here and I'm still being abused, I can still do my work. You can, like, your mindset is so huge. And so we focus a lot about that as well, on your mindset and how to take your power back and how to improve your self-worth. Because if you don't have that solid foundation, there's no way that you're going to be able to kind of take your power back. And so that's kind of where we start, is with your mindset and the importance of that and how to find that again. Because with abuse, like I said, the majority of it being emotional is actually really, really common. And what it does, it just slices away your self-worth to the point where the victim doesn't feel like they are worthy for a better relationship. They don't feel like they deserve to not be abused, or that there's no way they can get out, because they're told if they get out, then they'll be killed, or that they'll, be better. They'll be off worse if they do get out, or, like, I will hurt your friends or your family or your animals or your kids or whomever. And so it just, over time, it's just easier to stay. And so trying to get out, you have to help them realize and remember, and then to know and truly feel how incredibly amazing they are and how powerful they are. But we have got to get away from the abuse. And that's sometimes the hardest part. But we have to get out and then start on the journey of healing, and then see what it's actually done to your body. And that's where all that comes in.
Okay. So what I heard also, I heard the mindset, and I hear gaining the power back. And usually, like, not gaining the power back is that when you are in that state of you are afraid that the harm will happen, or that you have to take that abuse and live in that comfort zone, even it's not comfort, just so you don't have to deal with all that trait, or being scared, or being that. So to get your power back is just like you say, okay, enough is enough. I have to get my power back, and I have to move on with my life. But I am the one in control. I'm not scared anymore with what that abuser is having over me.
Right. Or even if I am scared, this is still worth it, because I need something more. I deserve something more. My kids don't deserve to be a part of this. I want to break the cycle. Domestic abuse is very cyclical. And so it happens generations, like, over and over and over, until someone says, I am done. And so that was one of the reasons, like, when I stood up, I stopped the cycle. And that was, it actually got, like, when I became a single mom, and when I kicked him out and started my journey of truly fighting back and finding my backbone, it was so hard. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. And then it got even harder once I was in it. Then I was dealing with protective orders and threats of my life and so many aspects. And if I had known it was going to be that much harder, I couldn't say I would have chosen that. But at the same time, I'd already started that. And I thought, I'm stopping the cycle no matter how hard this is, because I don't want to live in fear. That's not, that doesn't reside with me. I deserve more than that.
Love that. Refusing to live in fear, because fear can be very powerful and can captivate and hold us as hostage and a slave. And we will be like this, don't do that, do this. But we have to choice, like, face everything and run, or as they say, like, false evidence appearing right. So it take courage, it take determination, and it take also, like, supportive environment that will lead to get out to the other side.
Yeah. I
That's
think
your.
without a tribe, it's really really hard to, because then you don't know how to where to go, or where to start, or how to even where's the first step I need to take. And that's why it's so important to find a tribe. When I was trying to get out, whatever, I had turned to crisis centers and things, and they were helpful to a point. But then with him being a police officer, I then felt challenged, because then I thought, if I go to a safe house, he's going to know where I'm at. If his coworkers don't even believe me, then what help
Mhm.
do I really have? Or, and a lot of the officers, they were scared to help me, because then they were like, well, he knows our approach of what we would do in that situation. And so then we don't feel like we're safe, because then he knows our approach. And then he's also showing these tendencies of, like the mental aspect of things that make us really concerned for our own safety. So there
Mm.
were multiple aspects. And so again, like if you don't find your tribe, then you're kind of feeling stuck, and you're already feeling stuck in the abuse. And so you have to find someone who can say, hey, I get this. I understand what you're going through. I've been through the trenches, or like, I can offer these things for a safety. We're going to get you out, and we're going to make sure that you don't go back to that. Because a lot of times because it is so cyclical, and because it is so hard to get out, and because the self-worth is so torn down, and
Mhm.
other aspects of the mental aspect, a lot of times it will be 7 times of going back to the abuser before they finally get out, before they finally stand up, and it's either enough that they say, I refuse to go back. Because I had tried to leave multiple times before I finally left for good, multiple times. And so it's often 7 times, or then it increases to the point that someone is killed or something like that. But I mean, it's really really hard to get out, and so finding that tribe is absolutely crucial.
So that's the statistic, Jessica. Like 7 times, like for the get out from an abusive relationship, you have to go
Mhm.
through that and try to give it a chance. Maybe the abuser will change. Maybe there's some chances and stuff like that, and it keep happening. So after the 7 time, that people will they said, okay, enough is enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a cycle that talks about, like, there's, like a little bit of, like there'll be, they call it like an acute explosion, where
Yes.
they get a little bit of fight, and then it increases, and then they get, like, like the massive explosion, and then they, fight and kick out or whatever, and get this gigantic fight, and then there's the honeymoon phase. And so in the honeymoon phase, the victim's like, oh, you've changed, you see who I am, you won't do it anymore, and it gets them back into it, and then the tension builds a little bit, and then a little bit, and then it snaps, and then it starts over and over and over. So when they bring it in the honeymoon phase, people will like to think that the person's really changed, and they're being authentic and genuine, and it's actually just a huge control factor of, you're still mine, and I'm going to bring
Mhm.
you back in, and then the abuse is going to continue. I have no intention of changing. I've got you right where I want you. And so it's really, really hard to get out, because then you're like, oh, but I love him, or I have kids with him, or because a lot of times domestic violence is with someone intimate with us, either a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or, a family member. And so you have that connection of relationship with them. Well, would they really ever really do that to me? Yes, they would. And once they get to that point of they feel justified in treating you like that, they're not going to go back to just saying, like, I'm not going to use you anymore. It's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse until you get out, which is really unfortunate. And it's just kind of like the hard,
Mhm.
hard truth.
Wow, that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people listening to that and they say, okay, this is really how it is. This is how really it's working. Like you
Right.
have you have
It's,
to
it,
run.
it's like the nasty truth bomb. I know. I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's just it's the hard truth. Like it sucks. It's
Mhm.
really really hard. Yeah.
100%. But sometimes it's just like a matter of education as well. Like a lot of people don't really understand it, and it's a matter of getting used to the person. Even the person like is harming them, or even the person is not really the right person for them. But it's just a matter of getting used to it. As you shared, I have kids with them, or have a house. I have nowhere to go to. I rather be in this than go to uncertain. At least I know this and I'm dealing with it. But I'm going to uncertain thing that I don't know. That's probably, it could be even worse. You know what I
Right.
mean?
This is my norm, and a lot of times people won't realize that their norm is toxic, because if they've grown up with it, with, again, generational, well, if their families were toxic, and then they, like, well, I grew up in an abusive relationship, and my parents were in an abusive relationship, and so I'm then getting an abusive relationship because I don't, understand the importance of mindsets, and my self-worth is lacking, and I deal with depression and things like that, and so many aspects that kind of can compound and create that situation. Then yeah, they're like, well, I mean, again, like, I had no idea. I knew that I was a victim of domestic violence because of when I was raped, but I had no idea I was in a marriage of domestic violence until I got out and started telling my story and looking back. And I thought, oh my gosh. And even now is like, because the journey of healing is lifelong. You're not going to wake up one day and say, I am fully healed, I'm good to go. Like that's not how this rolls. So there's this constant thing of I'm always learning and progressing and finding out more and digging away those onion layers. And even now I'm still digging down massive layers and thinking, oh my gosh, well, what about this situation? That's actually a total form of this kind of abuse, or this situation was, I'm now seeing it with different eyes that are no longer rose-colored glasses, or with me in the victim mindset of trying to be in survival mode. I'm no longer in survival mode. So I'm able to look at things with a realistic approach of an outside perspective and say, yes, this is why I feel justified in doing this. This is why I choose to fight back, because this should not be an okay norm. And it continues to, increase in our society. We have to raise up and fight back.
Definitely, because nobody should be treated that way. Nobody should be like abused or being raped or being even in a relationship. That like a relationship should be harmony, should be coexistent, should be like balance. That's what the relationship. But the moment there is like something not in that harmony, not in that balance, it should be everyone go their own way, because we come together to live a happy couple. But
Right.
when that is everyone go their own way, different. So now you share with us those wonderful and fantastic. It's mindset, self-worth. It is ongoing process. You are not going to say, okay, I'm done and I'm healed and I'm good. No, you have to keep doing your homework. You have to keep doing like the gratitude list or whatever. Anything that help, keep doing it. Like exercise, like your tribe, people, and something that keep you going. And now, with all that, now you are Jessica Munson. Now you are living your life and you are running your own business. How do you feel now? Like with like a powerful, with confidence and everything. If I tell you, compare yourself between back and now, what's
Right. I mean, if I were to compare myself to even like 9 months ago when my health tanked, I thought that I was good. I knew that I was tired, obviously, but I felt like I was living my dream. I loved being an ER nurse and loved, like life was extremely challenging in that, but I was good. And now, like I still love my ER. I'll always be very passionate to my heart, whatever. But I feel very, very different than I did even 9 months ago. I feel like I am stepping into my power, into my passion, into what my true calling is. I think that, I mean, there's like I fully intend to be writing books and going to stages, and like I've created this 8-week course. It's my first course is an 8-week online course, and like I'm the more I step into this, and there's so many challenges and so many things that I deal with on the backside of trying to show up and deal with my own stuff and trying to push through like the triggers and the traumas myself, whatever. It's so challenging, but it's also extremely rewarding, and it's lighting me up in a way that I didn't even know was possible. So as I continue to do the work, it's opening incredible pathways that I had no idea even existed.
wow? So you have your own online program, Jessica, now online course.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. What's what people, if people want to join this program, what's the course called, or what's
So my business is just Jess Munson. So if you go to jessmunson.com, my website is still under construction. And so we'll link you directly to my Facebook page, which is Jess Munson Live is my business page. And so I'm working on, raising awareness and talking about, we're going to educate people about mindsets and gaslighting and different types of abuse. And, like how emotional abuse, there's not physical scars, but it's so much more damaging than the bruises that appear on the physical body. And let's talk about the hard stuff, because if you don't talk about it, nothing gets resolved. And I know that you can totally appreciate that, Ollie. And so there's lots of things. So Jess Munson Live is my business page, and so it's totally public there. So yeah, there's this 8-week course. So my first phone call is free, and so it's a one-on-one with me where. And you can look on my business page, there's like an enroll now button on the top, and it's a one-on-one call with me. And it's about an hour long. We talk about, again, like the real stuff. And we say, we talk about why, what kind of situation you're in and what you need and the best realistic thing. And if you're a good fit for my program, then I can offer you a position in there. And so I can't help everybody as much as I would love to. And I may not be the best fit for everybody, because your experience is unique. And no one's is the same. And so, I feel that I am offering an incredible thing that has totally changed my life. But if something is different that we would not be the best fit, then I don't feel right saying like, oh, well, sign up with me, like, okay, but I can offer you this, these books, these, mentors, these hotlines, different aspects, because reaching out is often the first step and sometimes the hardest, because you have to get over kind of the mindset of I am I'm feeling shame because of the situation I'm in, because I feel so worthless or so, whatever. And making that phone call is so hard, because you have to accept this is your reality and have to just kind of slow deep breaths. We've got this. I need to do something about this. And so often that phone call is really the breaking point, which is where you need to start with. And so, yeah, if we do offer the online course, and it's an 8-week course where I go through you, like I have my my brain's going crazy. Like I have my breakdown of my content, but then I go through and I customize it depending on what our conversation is and what kind of needs you have. Like some of my clients, they may have already gotten out of the abuse, but then they haven't dealt with anything, or they have done some therapies, but then are still dealing with a lot of triggers, or I'm still in the abuse and I don't know how to get out. My kids are being involved and I don't know how to help them. And so it just totally depends. And so I can't say, oh, well, yep, column A, 1, 2, 3. It's just like, okay, here's the deal. Here's your situation. On week 1, this is what we're going to do. And week 2, this is what we're going to do. And so eventually it turns into Zoom calls with groups, and there's different Facebook pages and things I can enroll you in. But initially it's just like, what do you need from me and how can I help you? Because I love that you reached out, and thank you for reaching out. That was a huge step for you. And let's go change your life now. Let's go help you find your power. So that's one of my businesses.
I love that. So the first hour is just kind of like just to see if it's a good fit, if I'm a good fit for you, and if you are a good fit for me. And from there, if the energy or the feeling is not there, you can guide them to maybe someone that you can work with as a good fit for them.
Yeah, like it's absolutely nothing personal. Like I'm here to be able to help change lives and to make that impact. Like what empowers me, like why I got into nursing was for helping people, and it totally lights me up. And so like I would love to be that perfect fit, but I know that I can't be the perfect fit for everybody, and that's something that I've accepted and I'm okay with. But let's find you that perfect fit, because you deserve to be able to heal in a way that's better for you. So let's see if I'm the great fit. If I am, awesome sauce. And if not, then let me show you what else we can offer you.
Love it. So 8 weeks. So the first week you work on something, the second week work on something else, the third week and stuff like that. So amazing. So if you want to reach out for Jessica, Jess Manson Live, that's your Facebook page.
Yep, that's my business page.
Yeah, business page, Jess Manson Live, and your website, jessmanson.com.
Yeah, jessmanson.com is my website. Though right now, just directly link into that Facebook Live page.
That Facebook Live page. Excellent. Amazing. So much good stuff you are sharing here. Some golden nugget. It's amazing, my friend. So if I tell you, like a lot of people like they say, why life throwing at me all these different things? Why me? Well, name someone I can send that problem to instead of me. So sometimes rejection in life can be a blessing to us. Rejection is God protection to guide us in the right direction. So look at you, like running your own business. Now you are helping people. And the same thing for me when I went through a lot in life. I discovered, look, and now I'm just like connecting people, helping people, sharing like doses of inspiration with the world. And God always had the best for us. Sometimes we think that when we've been sent or when dealt the wrong card, we think it's not really being loved or being appreciated, but it's really God protection for us, telling us, excuse me, sir, or excuse me, madam, you are going the wrong direction. Come on, this is the way you should be at. This is what you should do.
But realign you.
Exactly. So it's just you talk about it, the mindset, and you talk about it like it's how you see it, it's how you deal with it, it's the attitude. Sometimes, like some people, even they have like everything good in their life, and they look all on the dark side. They all look on the problem. But some people, you give them all the problem of the world, and they manage to turn it and make it something positive. So the mindset play a big thing in this.
Right. It doesn't matter who you are. Your mindset has to be intact, and it truly makes or breaks the situation and your life and your outlook and your perspective on everything, because you're absolutely right. You can have someone who has everything in the world and they will feel absolutely miserable, and somebody who has nothing and they just say, oh, I am so blessed. So yeah, it's all about mindset. Mindset is huge.
Excellent. So we have 2 minutes, my friend. What is something that you finish and share with the audience that they can live with at this last 2 minutes?
So many golden nuggets. Oh my gosh. I think that at the end of the day, I just think that I would love to help the audience, whoever you are, just know how amazing you are. And it doesn't matter the kind of situation they're currently in, you have the power to change it. And if there's something that is in that you feel like, some people ask, like, what does it mean to trust your gut? What is that? And it's like, either call your Jiminy Cricket, or your, like your gut instinct, or your, just something that isn't sitting right. And if something isn't sitting right and it kind of just causes turmoil or inner conflict, or just some kind of back and forth, something inside, that's universe, God. It's something saying something needs to change. And you have the power to do that. And so reaching out to somebody that you can trust, and somebody that, knows more, or knows better, or kind of can help align on that pathway, that's huge. But the more you sit with that, it's not going to go away. So trust your gut, reach out, and let us help you.
Amazing. I love that. Trust your gut, reach out, and look for help. Because when you accept that you have a problem and you admit it, that's the problem. A lot of people like in the denial. And the moment you accept, you are halfway there. And that's one thing we really love to finish with. As my friend Jessica said, trust your gut feeling, reach out, and there is help everywhere. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you very much, Jess Manson, for sharing this amazing story and for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.